Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili nishma simi meros Refuah Mordechai. Hayoim echod u'shloishim yoyim shehim arba'ah shavuos u'shleisha yomim ba'oimer la'oimer. So, Rabbi Isai, last night we had a beautiful meeting. 26 people, 26 ambassadors to these new groups. And I showed them, I spoke about this one, or maybe I didn't. This was from one of the Hebrew groups. Basically, the guy says, I'm looking for chavrusa for half an hour to learn the daf. And he wants to do this shir without emails, at 1.75 speed. Wow. So the guy says, you're invited to my house. And he says, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and that's how it was. The point of these groups are to encourage the new people not to fall off. In the beginning, it's very easy to fall off the bandwagon. And Baruch Hashem, we have 900 people part of these groups. And we're asking that the people in the groups should be mechazik the groups, should write into the groups, say, I did the daf, be part of it, because your chizik, when you write in that you did the daf, that gives chizik to other people, it gives chizik to yourself, and that's the whole point of the groups. The other thing is that here in Eretz Yisrael, we're basically announcing that we have 10 groups, and I heard yesterday that we have 11 off-site groups. Petach Tikva is also opening up in these days, or whatever, maybe they opened up already, I don't know, I have to hear from Benny. Where are they holding, Benny? Next week, Petach Tikva, and then Ranana Bezer Hashem. Bekitzer, we have 11 satellite groups where they watch either live or not live on a screen together. B'tzafta Chada. Be'ezer Hashem, we're going to have 1,000 people in Eretz Yisrael watching the shir live in different locations. And it's going to happen quicker than you think. He says, this guy says, I'm a yeshiva bacher, and this is the first time in my life at the age of 24 that I'm Messiah Masechta. I want to thank you. Yeshur Koyach. Dan Rubinoff, who perhaps holds the record of being at the most shiurim in different places around the world, from Florida to Eretz Yisrael to maybe Dave Sharfman now is, I don't know. You have to fight it out with him. He claims he's the number one in the remote locations. Chicago. Were you ever in Chicago, Dave? Yeah? Not with him. Oh, yeah. That doesn't help. Attaches a picture of my nephew, DJ Freeman. Aryeh, that's your second horror already. Attaches a picture of my nephew, DJ Freeman, at the Makasim in Muncie. Happy birthday to DJ who just turned 14 today. This was his first siyum, and we are all very proud of him. DJ is continuing with MDY for Shevuos, and hopefully many more. Mazel Tov, DJ. Yitzi Kramer learning the daf. This was amazing. My son came home from playing baseball and still hadn't learned the daf. He finally sat down to learn and was interrupted by a siren due to the missile launch from Yemen. While we all sat in the mamad, he made sure to continue learning the daf. It's interesting, when I saw this email, it felt good. Why? When I got into the mamad, I realized I didn't bring my phone with me. I didn't bring my Gemara with me I was very pressured. It was right before the Hebrew shir, and I need those minutes. And I forgot to bring my sparim. I was just standing like a goilum, looking at everybody else. Well, my mechutin came to visit, and the mechutenis, and I'm like, okay, now what? I don't even have my phone to see what this missile is or whatever. Anyway, so this kid made it up for me. Learned in the mamad. Yishkoyach Kramer, Eli Weiss. So I said in shir that according to Rebbe Kiva, you got up and showed us the Mishnah over there that you could divorce your wife for anything.
He doesn't say anything. He says if you find someone who looks better than her.
Right, it's even worse. So he says pshat. He says that when you're able to divorce your wife because you found somebody better, that means every minute that you're married to her is because you chose to be married to her. It's not just because you decided to marry her when you were 20 years old. So at every given moment, you're, no? The wife should appreciate this.
No. Yaakov Kamenetsky has the pshat. That's the famous pshat.
Yeah, what's his pshat?
No, he says that if you're a person who does...
Listen, I'm scared about your aris and shir because I'm going to tell you later on what happened after your aris. Yeah, no? What?
My aris?
Yeah, your aris changed my whole life. Yeah, go right there.
Basically, Yaakov says that he says the word is that if you're a person who, you look at your wife, you see someone better, that means you don't appreciate your wife. See, but that's what you're not ra'ui for her.
Oh.
That's not good. You don't deserve it.
No problem.
Go explain it to your wife as you're divorcing her. The reason I'm divorcing you because I'm pushing not right for you. I would love to be married to you.
It's a lesson in how to be married.
I hear,
not
no.
a lesson in divorce. A lesson in marriage.
Rabbi says, so yesterday at the, what is it called over there? .org? What is it called? Here, that's what they're wearing here.
Org.
They had a booth, and there was volunteers there. Shmi Leibovitz, Avromi's son.
Morning, Avrami.
Yossi Wasserman, famous Yossi Wasserman, Mickey Cohen, Yosef Kitag, and Sruli Pesach. But these are guys that they got, or one of them. No. I think the guy on the left. Okay. Rabbi said, there's other pictures I wanted to throw in, so maybe the editors could throw in the other pictures. Anonymous, Hatzlacha bruchnius uvegashmius. Monthly sponsors, Leah Zechariah ben Moe Landy bas Yosef. Parnasa Birevach for Baruch, Tzvi, Nissim, Shoshana, Leah, Jeff's Gourmet, Los Angeles, Moshe Aron Miriam Landy for that Hatzlacha of all our children. ActualEyes in honor of David, Duvie, Merkin of Eastern Union, all the Silver Spring daffers. Moe Landy, the Nishmas Rochel bas Mordechai Tzvi. Pinny Kreizel in honor of the Hong Kong Daf Yomi group. Yeah. We saw them already. We have to hear a little bit more about them. In honor of the Hong Kong Daf Yomi group, keep Shteiging. Avi Schiff, thank you for making the daf so Geshmak. P.S. The oilum in Lakewood loves it. Yishkoyach. MDY Kids Monthly Innovations. Chus for official Chonon Kiva. Refuah Mrs. Stefansky. Art of the month. Refuah Shleima, for Yonatan Eitan ben Bashev Bracha, for Schus for Rebelli and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable so many, in honor of Yossi Klein and Margaret Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Rabbi say, I'm not exactly sure 100%, but it's very possible that this coming Sunday, the shear is going to be at a different time, earlier than usual. Like we'll switch the minyan with the shear kind of thing, so that those who are going what?
First minute.
The first minyan will be instead of shear, and the shear will be instead of the first minyan. If that works, we'll discuss it a little bit and then we'll make a decision, but heads up. Rabbi Isai, we're holding 5 lines from the bottom of Amud Beis. We're just going to go back. And here's a shaila for the oilum. If you know the answer because you just learned it yesterday, do not answer. Yom Kippur is mechaper. When is Yom Kippur mechaper? Listen carefully. Here are the options. When is Yom Kippur mechaper? By Kol Nidre? By the Shemona Esrei of Ma'ariv? Netz? Shachris? Musaf? Mincha? Or Ne'ilah? Or none of the above?
There's one more.
The whole day. The whole night. All of Yom Kippur.
Every second.
It's every second.
What? The end of the day. David Al-Khaz, this is the end of the day. Okay, we got one. No? Anybody agree with him? What do you say?
Every second.
Every second. You're wrong. Next.
Not wrong.
Huh?
Not wrong. Every
The
second.
beginning of the day. Every second from when? From Shkia? From when?
From the beginning of the day.
Oh! No, you just change it. You just change it. I agree to that, but that's not the answer that I was looking for. The answer is, Rabbi Isai,
Excuse me.
you're excused. That,
Early
what?
in the day,
Yeah.
then the rest of the day, what is that for?
Okay, so what are you saying? That's when?
I'm saying it's all day or at the end of the day, because if it's like Shacharis,
Yeah.
then after Shacharis, then why down a Muslim?
I hear. I didn't say it's the beginning of the day. You're like, excuse me, as if I said it, and you asked me a question. You asked me a question on him. Okay, fine. The answer is, Rabbi says, we're going to see today, that Yom Kippur is mechaper only from the morning till the end of the day, every minute, not at night. Huh?
Like you said. Very good.
Like you said, but he didn't say not Ma'ariv. I'm saying not Ma'ariv, not the nighttime. That's what I want to hear. Not the nighttime. And what Mendy is saying is true, but you have to know when does it start. All right, so let's see inside. It says in the Mishnah that when you throw the goat off the cliff, the Soir Lazazel, that goat has superpowers, something we've never seen before. We always talk about the goat, Azazel. What does it do? It's mechaper everything. It's mechaper for the worst of the worst. Karas, Mrs. Bezdin, Loisasa, Asay. So the Gemara says, I want to understand what it means that's mechaper nasei. Shalom Aleichem. What's your names? Don't be Don't be so shy. Huh? Mechel Lieber from? Lakewood. Anybody have a seat here? There's a seat I see right over here. There's a seat over here. Oh, there's two over there. Two over there. Gewaldig. What's your son's name? Yitzi Lieber from Lakewood. Gewaldig. So, Rabbi Isai, this Sarila Zazel that you throw off the cliff and is mechaper for an assay, what kind of assay are we talking about? What's going on here exactly? Hay assay yechidami. What's the case? 5 lines from the bottom, 4 lines from the bottom. Now, if there was 0 tshuva, zevach rishon teva. How could Yom Kippur be mechaper? How could the Sarila Zazel be mechaper if the guy didn't do tshuva? He's a rasha. He's holding an aver in his hand. He didn't take it back. Then the Sarila Zazel shouldn't work. Ida vat tshuva, and if he did do tshuva, kol yom enami. So even if he did tshuva on Tisha B'Av, on Purim, he also has a kapara. So why do you need a Sarila Zazel on Yom Kippur? The Sanya, Amitzah say v'asa tshuva. If it says in the Brisa, listen to the words of the Brisa. If a person was over in a mitzvah say and he did tshuva, he doesn't even move, he doesn't even make a step, and he's already has a mechila. He does tshuva in middle of the year, anytime. You do tshuva, so Taisus brings a good shiloh over here. It's a kasha. He says like this: we learn in the first parak of Yuma, ala seva loisa say tshuva mechaperes. As Taisus. Over here, what do we just learn? The Sanya, 2 lines from the bottom. Over al mitzvahs asay, if he's over na asay and he does tshuva, then he gets a mechila. It doesn't mention a lois asay. It's mashma from this brisa, and a lois asay you don't get tshuva. So it says Taisus the biggest side. He says like this. Says Taisus, it's not a full mechila. They make it a little lighter on him. So Taisus makes a distinction between a mitzvah asay and a mitzvah lois asay. The Noda B'Yehuda, when he was a chassan and he went to the Vilna Gaon to ask for a bracha, and the Vilna Gaon was eating, I don't remember if it was a latke or something, but kids, his fingers had oil on them. And he went in to like hug the Noda B'Yehuda. And the Noda B'Yehuda took, he was wearing a shtraimel, expensive clothing, he was a chassan, so he stepped back. And he said that his entire life he regretted that. Like he didn't get that hug or whatever it was. He was very, but upon him, the Noda B'Yehuda says, what's the pshat over here? What's the difference? So he says, by a mitzvah asay, you didn't do something. It was a sheval taisa. You didn't put on tefillin today. You didn't shake a lulav. You didn't say kriya shema. It was man. So what does that say? So there's no tshuvas hamishkol. You just didn't do something. So for not doing something, you have charata, you do tshuva, you won't do it again, and you nimchal. But when it comes to a lois asay, then you have to have tshuvas hamishkol. You have to have Yisurim, you have to fast, whatever the halacha says. Certain times you do a Isser, the Shoshana says you have to fast for 40 days, for arayas, for different things. You have to do a tshuva, you have to do the reverse of what you did. You had hana, so now you have to do the opposite of hana. You have to be mitzayir yourself. So just to say, I'm not going to do it again is not enough. That's why you have to put that extra piece. But Yom Kippur is mechaper for all the averas when in conjunction with tshuva. That you don't need the tshuvas hamishkol, you don't need those yisurim. Omer Reb Zera. So what's going on here? The Gemara asks, what kind of asay are we talking about? If he didn't do tshuva, then he's a rasha, Yom Kippur shouldn't work. If he did do tshuva, then I don't need Yom Kippur. Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph on top. Says Reb Zera, Ba'omed ben Mirdoi, we're talking about a guy who's, like we're saying, he didn't do tshuva. He didn't do tshuva. I have to say the story once in a while for the new people. So it's Givaldik Amaisa. There's 2 guys that decide to go off the derech. They go off the derech and they're sitting there and one of them, takes a cup of Coke, and it's just a habit, out of habit, that we, unfortunately, we do out of habit also. So his friend looks at him and says, "Bis Meshuggah, we're off the derech. What are you doing?" He says, "Oi, Baruch Shem Kibbutz Machusi Le'Olam Va'ed." Birevach. No, just the point of we just do things. We don't even know why. It's like the same way he said the bracha now. He said it before. Why have we read that? Birevach. So this guy is still, he's off the derech a little bit in this Aveira. And Rebbe holds an unbelievable thing in the Chiddush, and that's where we're going to go. It's Mamash got into today. A person who doesn't do tshuva, he doesn't do tshuva. You hear this? Even if a guy didn't do tshuva, Yom Kippur has such a power that he gives a kapara. Chutz, there are 3 aveiros that it doesn't work on. Chutz, meparik oil, a person who says, I don't believe anymore. Umegala ponim b'Torah, he's disrespectful to the Torah. I don't know if it's still around, but I used to get these WhatsApps. There's a certain individual that used to learn the daf and give a pshat on the daf that completely mocked the whole daf, would make fun of the daf from beginning to end. And people would say it was funny, they would send it around to each other. That's Megala Ponim b'Torah, to be completely disrespectful from the Torah. He said the person is not a believer, atheist, whatever, but that person would learn the whole daf, knew it well, and then would make fun of it. Find the funny parts in it and take a chicken and go around, like that. So that's Megala Ponim b'Torah. Umeifir bris b'basar, and doesn't get a bris milah. Like the first Sandikos I ever had was on a Russian that was like 20-something years old. So obviously when he was a kid, he didn't have a bris. His parents didn't. But once you become aware of it, and you understand that there's a mitzvah, and you don't do the bris, it's very difficult. Why is it difficult? Nobody should know from these things. An hour-long cutting. It takes literally an hour of soldering, whatever the word is. Not soldering, quartering, cauterizing. It's not soldering. Yeah, soldering is a metal. I get it. It's a very, very difficult thing, and it's a tremendous that a person at that age would say, okay, it's unbelievable. It's tremendous godless. But the bottom line is, a person has to get a bris. And if he doesn't, he's over. And if he doesn't, Yom Kippur is not mechaper. So the Maral says a beautiful word over here. He says, to explain it very, very nicely, al derech pshat. He says, why dafka these 3 things? He says, in order for Yom Kippur to work, you have to have some connection. You have to be connected to the Refuah Shleima. If you have a disconnect, then the tshuva doesn't work. Even if you're not, whatever, you still do your balavera, but you're connected, so Yom Kippur works. He says, if you don't have a bris, so then your body cannot, the chesaron is on you, on the person. You're not the person that could connect to the Refuah Shleima. If you don't believe in the Refuah Shleima, then you don't have him to give you the tshuva. What about Torah? And that's amazing. How do you connect to the Refuah Shleima? Through Torah. Our connection, our dibuk to Refuah Shleima is through Torah. So if you make fun of the Torah, you might have a bris, you might believe in him, but the connector, the thing, the glue that connects us, that you don't have.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Once I say the bris, and I have to say the story a few times a year because it made a tremendous reishim on me. And every time I say it, I get chills. So I'm saying it again. There's a woman in Russia who right after her son's bris, she took her son and she kissed him and she fell on the floor and she fainted. What happened? She couldn't give her kid a bris. She was in Russia. So she made a neder. She says, I'm making a neder that I'm not going to kiss my son until he gets a bris. And this was the first time when he was 2 years old that she was able to kiss her son. Says the Gemara. Shemasal tshuva Yom Kippur mechaper, v'imlav ein Yom Kippur mechaper. Oh, on these 3 aveiros, on bris milah, megal ponim b'Torah, and being a kofer, shemasal tshuva Yom Kippur mechaper. You see, even for the worst of the worst, the guy's an atheist, runs around. puts on online all his shtusim and his theories and everything, but then one day he does tshuva, because Baruch is mechaper. Then lav in Yom Kippur mechaper. Okay, so we have a Rebbe. Again, the question was, what kind of an assay could you possibly do that Yom Kippur is mechaper? If you do tshuva, you could do it in middle on Hanukkah also. You don't need Yom Kippur. And if you didn't do tshuva, so what? Says Rebbe, no, Yom Kippur is mechaper even if you didn't do tshuva, unless it's one of the three. But we're not talking about one of the three. My time with the Rebbe, where do you get it from? The Sanyo ki dvar Hashem baza. He was mevaza, he baza the word of Hashem. What does it mean? Somebody who no longer believes in Hashem, umegal upon about Torah, is disrespectful to the Torah. And his mitzvah, the mitzvah, he broke. Zeh hamefer bris babasar. So Rashi says over here, shehi mitzvah yichidis. What does that mean? It's a mitzvah yichidis. What does it mean?
Singular.
I get it. What does it mean? Tefillin is also singular, and Shabbos is also singular. Because that was the only mitzvah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu to be Mekayim. She mitzvah yichidus, and that's as mitzvah soy. That one mitzvah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Avraham Avinu, that's what you made for. You see, it's pretty important that HaKadosh Baruch Hu the bris milah. He kares tikaris. It says in the pasuk a double lashon. He kares lefnei Kippurim, tikaris lachar Yom Kippurim. If you don't have a bris, you get kares even after Yom Kippur comes and goes. So Yom Kippur didn't accomplish anything for you. Yachal afilu asa tshuva. I would think, even in a situation where the person did tshuva, he's still going to get kares? No. If you do tshuva, it's a different story. Only when you hold on to the avera, you don't have a bris still, but you have a bris milah, even though you're 90-something years old. Like I showed that video of the guy over there in Russia, in his 90s, he got a bris. That's it. Mechila. Rabbanon, he calls oilum hazeh. No, it's not referring to before Yom Kippur. After Yom Kippur, it's talking about the two worlds. If a person doesn't have bris milah, if a person is a kaifer beikar, if a person makes fun of the Torah, he calls oilum hazeh, he calls oilum haba. You have krisus in oilum haba. Avoyna ba, shim also tshuva v'meis. Oh, so what happens if a person does tshuva, but he doesn't get to Yom Kippur, unfortunately. Pasha doesn't get to Yom Kippur. But he dies, misa memarekes. Then comes the death. The person dies, his death gives him a kapara. There's an interesting place, I just want to point it out here. I thought it's interesting. He says like this, V'shleimar, top taisus. So this goes into that there's a lot of yisurim that a person has after a person dies, in conjunction with the death. Then you have the death plus the yisurim afterwards. That will save him to get into oilum haba. But listen to this. But if a person does tshuva, misa memerekes, then you have the death. The actual death is painful. Memerekes legamre. That wipes everything off. You have a clean slate. You come to oilum haba clean. Then a person doesn't get yisurim at all after his death. You hear what he says? If a person does tshuva plus death, and especially if there's a Yom Kippur, then you get zero yisurim. Halavai. Oh, I just want to pause here and tell you, because I said before during the emails that Reb Nachman Seltzer yesterday, his ha'ara, made a big change in my life. This is a Ma'aseh Shaya, and I'm going to try to say it with a straight face. Yesterday, in Shir, I said a story with Reb Chaim Kanievsky and the grasshopper. And there's a guy that made fun. He didn't believe. He's a koifer. He's a megal upon him, the Torah. He didn't believe the story. So when he came home, he found a house full of grasshoppers. So Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein printed it in a sefer, and there was a guy, a Letz, who didn't believe the sefer. He says, Maha, it's another one of the Rabbi Zilberstein stories. And when he came home, he found the whole dining room was full of Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein Sfarim, Halil Shabeach, and all these things. And then Rabbi Nachman Seltzer made a hara. He said, the story was that the guy with the grasshopper, it's not After he moved, the grasshoppers kept on following him. And I made the mistake in my life. I made fun of it. Rabbim. I like, yeah, sure, yeah, right. And a few people. Boys, you're not going to believe this. There's a Ma'aseh Shevuos. I came home, and my whole dining room was full of Rav Nachman Seltz's Svarim. Huh?
Missing the first page.
Oh, he remembers the Ma'aseh.
Everyone remembers the Ma'aseh.
And I don't. Okay, weiter. That's what I meant. It's a lifelong change. Never make fun of his Ma'aseh. Never make fun of his things. It's not the Gemara. He asked me, I called him up last night. I said, I need your new sefer because there's the new one. There's one of the new ones. There's like also Rabbi, what's his name? The Chacham Baruch. Bestseller now. Before it came out even. Anyway, so yeah.
No,
Pre-orders. So he said, you're going to schlep? He said, you're going to schlep a bunch of svarim from your house. I said, I need 100 of them. I can't come to share. He said, what are you going to schlep? I said, do you understand? I drove 3 hours one day to lay down next to some sheep so I could have a half a picture. I'm not going to schlep 10 svarim. Okay. It's not Mesiras Nefesh for a joke. It's okay. Umi matzahs mugim like your Rebbe. Okay. Yeah. Zok the Gemara. What do we have here? Our Mishnah must go like Rebbe. Why? Our Mishnah says, Asay, Yom Kippur comes as a mechaper. What's going on here? What kind of Asay? There must be, there's only one person. His name is Rebbe, the author of the Mishnah. He holds that Yom Kippur is mechaper everything. The problem is that there's other people in the Mishnah. And they don't get along with this concept. And if they don't get along with this concept, so the Mishnah can't be Rebbe. Or maybe they do get along, but maybe it's somebody else. Let's see. The Sefer Rebbe Yehudahi, Reishanami Rebbe Yehudahi. Wait a minute, when the Mishnah brings the name Rebbe Yehuda, who's Rebbe's Rebbe, yeah, Rebbe learned by Rebbe Yehuda, then the Reish is also Rebbe Yehuda. It says in the Sefer, another line after that this Sar La'azazel works for everyone, for Kohanim, for Leviim, for Yisraelim. But we saw in the Mishnah we have a machlokes. It's not so pashut. Umanis leihai svara Rebbe Yehuda. Miklal the Reish Rebbe Yehuda. So go something like this. Very pashut. We said on the right, the Reisha that says that Azazel is mechaper naaseh. We had a question. How could Azazel be mechaper naaseh? The guy did tshuva on Hanukkah, works on Hanukkah. The guy didn't do tshuva, doesn't work on Yom Kippur. The answer is it goes according to Rebbe, beli tshuva. You don't need tshuva. The problem is that the next line it says that a Sari La'azazel works on a Kohen and a Yisrael. And it says Rebbe Yehuda. So if the Sefer is Rebbe Yehuda, then the Reish is Rebbe Yehuda. And Rebbe Yehuda doesn't agree to this concept that without Tshuva Yom Kippur works. It's a very Mechudesh Dikei Halacha. That without Tshuva, a guy, Michal Shabbos, the whole thing Yom Kippur comes, wipes the slate. Rabbi Yosef, Rebbe, no. The whole Mishnah is Rebbe. V'sava like Rebbe Yehuda here. He's going to take that concept that Rebbe Yehuda says, and he's going to use it for himself. We're going to be consistent. The Mishnah is Rebbe. And what about the other part that says that Azazel works for Kohen and Yisrael, not just the Yisrael, like the other Mandam? He borrows that from Rebbe Yehuda. It's his Rebbe, so he's going to take his Rebbe's svara. But Rebbe Yehuda himself, might be siren. Okay. So what do we do when there's a siren? Calmly, you help the elderly out the room. We're going to go to the stairs in the building, and then we'll resume. So the problem is, not the problem, if you medaik in the words here, it says the Mishnah goes like Rebbe, and Rebbe holds like Rebbe Yehuda. Maybe it's Rebbe Yehuda, the whole Mishnah goes like Rebbe Yehuda, and Rebbe Yehuda holds like Rebbe. Now, that's not so great to say because Rebbe Yehuda is the Rebbe. He's the previous generation. From the fact that Rabbi Yossi says the Mishnah goes like Rebbe, seems like it's Rebbe, and Rebbe takes the piece of Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda doesn't share the piece of Rebbe. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold that Yom Kippur is mechaper without tshuva. So that's all the Gemara is doing here. Do they hold like each other, or it's just Rebbe that takes Rabbi Yehuda's piece? By the way, who's Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda is the Talmud of Rabbi Kiva. Rebbe learned by all 5 of the Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva. He learned by Rabbi Meir, he learned by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He got a little bit from everybody. I think that Rebbe was very young when he learned by Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda is his Rebbe. So, Omer Rav Yosef, Rebbe he. Our Mishnah goes like Rebbe, Sober like Rabbi Yehuda, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Omer Le'abayo, Dafke Komer Mar Rebbe, Sober like Rabbi Yehuda. Did he mean that it only goes in one direction? That, like on the right, Ration the Seifa is Rebbe? Here, let's do this. But not like this. It's not like Rabbi Yehuda also agrees to the Rebbe's piece. Maybe they all hold of each other. The two of them are what's the word? In
Conjunction.
cahoots, maybe. Okay. I don't like cahoots because it's like that. Okay. Collaboration, maybe. Okay, they hold of each other. There's no machlokes. He just mentioned it like that. And why would he mention like that? Why would he say, oh, the Mishnah is Rebbe? He should have said the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, or the Mishnah is like Rabbi Yehuda and Rebbe. Maybe there's a little chiddush in there. He was just saying the normal thing to tell us the Talmud Sovel like Rabbi, that you see over here that the Talmud holds like his Rebbe. No. You're medayik very well. It's only Rebbe holds like Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda does not hold like Rebbe. It's like this. The Mishnah is Rebbe. He wrote the Mishnah, and he holds like himself, and he took a piece out of his Rebbe Sefer, which means that the Sari La Zazel works even for Kehanim. We're going to see a whole sugya now that the Sari this big sheetus that the Sari doesn't work for Kehanim. They have their own kapara, Kohen Gadol. They're in their own category. They use the par, they use the bull for all the kaparas. They don't use the Sari La Zazel. So the Rebbe says, you know what? I hold like my Rebbe in that piece. Rebbe like Rebbe. This Anya. We learned in the Brayso. So here we have the machlokes. Until now we were saying that Rebbe holds the Yom Kippur is mechaper even if you don't do tshuva. Here we have a shita, his Rabbi Yehuda holds that Yom Kippur is not mechaper if you don't do tshuva, and therefore he cannot hold like Rebbe. Rebbe Yehuda is on his own. I would think that Yom Kippur is mechaper even if you don't do tshuva. V'dinu. And it's kavachomer. We know that if a person does an aveira b'shoigig, he brings a chatas. V'yom kippur mechaper, and also Yom Kippur we know is mechaper. Let's make a. We'll say that the similar machatas v'osham ein mechaperim. But there's no siren yet. So turn it off.
This is the same.
Is there a way to shut off your phone completely? The boy says, shut your phones off, please. We don't have a siren here, and do you know how to shut off the phone? This is the power button, Rabbi Isai.
Throw it out the window.
Just like chatos and ashram is not mechaper only for those who want to do tshuva, you come to the Beis Hamikdash to do tshuva with your chatos. So Yom Kippur is only mechaper if you do tshuva. Malchatos v'ashram says the Gemara, but that's not a good raya. Malchatos v'ashram shemechaper mal amezik Shteiging. Chatos and ashram is not mechaper on a Shteiging. It's only on a mezid. It's only mechaper on a Shteiging. So Rashi says here, and we have to understand, Rashi says, wait a minute, there are 3 cases that a chatas is mechaper even on a mezid. Charufa, different things, even on a mezid. So Rashi says, but mostly, for the most part, the Raiv. Okay, how does it explain exactly? There's a Taisus that explains it. Okay. But Yom Kippur is mechaper, mezid, and shoigig. Oilum mechaper, mezid, shoigig, chaper, shavim, el sheinim shavim. I would think that since Yom Kippur is so powerful, that it could be mechaper even somebody that did it on purpose. So even if you didn't do tshuva, it's mechaper. Tamaloymar ach. It says in the pasuk, ach basar, right, with the pazer. Ach basar l'chodesh. It tells us that no, you have to do tshuva, says Rabbi Yehuda. You must do tshuva. So first of all, we have the famous pasuk. Yeah, it is in this week's parsha. Emor Perek Chav Gimel, correct. The famous pasuk. We can actually sing it if you want with the sirens. Hailoi nifleisi mimcha v'loi rechaikahi. Hailoi nifleisi. Not in this week's parsha. No, ach pasuk. V'loi rechaikahi ki karai ve'lecha adavar meyad eilecha adavar meyad. I need you. Ki karai ve'lecha adavar meyad eilecha adavar meyad. Go.
Where we start?
Ki karai. No, you go.
Ki karai ve'lecha adavar. Now I'm saying so.
Eilecha adavar meyai ki karai. If you're going to start, you have to continue. Eilecha adavar meyai ki karai eilecha adavar meyai beficha u'levacha la'soso ki karai eilecha adavar meyai beficha u'levacha b'chol la'asot oilum. What does it mean? So according to the Ramban, not Rashi, according to the Ramban, Kikar ve'elach adavar meyad, it's right there near you. It's talking about tshuva. Tshuva. What is tshuva? So Rashi over here says, he brings the pasuk. He says, "V'svadu es chatasam." Vidui. Tshuva is a bunch of things. You have to have charata. You have to have a kabbalah al-asid and vidui. But in the vidui itself, perhaps, there's the element of it all. You have charata. Why are you saying vidui? You have charata. You're accepting for the future. But it's Mordechai, Rabbi said it's Mordechai. Check this out. If you look in the Shulchan Aruch says that when a person does tshuva, he doesn't have to explain what he did. He doesn't have to say, Hashem, I spoke Lashon Hara, I stole, like this, like that. You don't have to say it. It's better if you do, but you don't have to. So it comes out, what do you have to do? You have to just say, sorry. Zehu, one word. One word, but sincere. Like, everybody has that when you tell your kid, say sorry to the other one. So, sorry. No. Say like you mean. Okay. Sorry. But you gotta say it. You have to really mean it. If you mean the word sorry, it's pelvic. It's not that difficult. It's hard to say sorry to your friend, but the Rebbeinu Shalom, sorry, I messed up. Sorry. Says the Gemara. So what's the raya over here? What's the raya? Nachamal. We just brought a shita. It doesn't say a name. We brought a shita that says that without tshuva, Yom Kippur does not work. You need to do tshuva. You need to say sorry. At least sorry. Oh, the raya is Tam Sifra, Mani Rabbi Yehuda. Who wrote the Sifra that we just read? Rabbi Yehuda. That you must do tshuva. If you don't do tshuva, it doesn't work. Okay, so we have a machlokes. Rabbi says Yom Kippur is mechaper without tshuva. Rabbi Yehuda, his Rabbi says Yom Kippur needs tshuva. The problem is, I have a contradiction within the Sifra itself, and that's problematic. Why? I would think Yom Kippur is only mechaper if you fast. What does it mean, Rabbi, to say mikra kodesh on Yom Kippur? Anybody want to take a stab at it? Says Rashi, mikra kodesh Yisrael b'Yom Kippurim. In Shemona we say mekadesh Yisrael. That's how you mikra kodesh. You have to announce it. It's here Yom Kippur. I'm not stop fasting because I'm on an intermittent fasting program. I'm fasting because mekadesh Yisrael b'Yom Kippurim. You didn't do melacha. I would think that that's the only way to get a kapara Yom Kippur. What about lo yisanabo? You didn't fast. V'lo karei mikra kodesh, and you didn't announce that it's Yom Kippur. V'asa by melacha, and you did melacha. Minayin, how do you know that Yom Kippur is mechaper? It's unbelievable. If you're a chiloini, you know whatever, you don't observe. But here the beautiful thing is that in Eretz Yisrael, kids ride their bikes on the highways on Yom Kippur, because Kimat nobody drives, and most people fast Yom Kippur. I know the biggest chilonim that fast Yom Kippur. But the Gemara is saying, even if they didn't, it's amazing. They even wear white clothes. You see, somebody said yesterday that, who was your brother? Somebody was in Dizengoff this year, in Dizengoff, in the center of Tel Aviv, and there was hundreds and hundreds of people coming for something about Yom Kippur. They wanted to daven a little bit. They wanted to. It's a beautiful thing. But even if they didn't, even if you're in a kibbutz and you don't, nothing, garnished, no fast, no melacha the whole day, Yom Kippur is mechaper, according to this part of the Sifra. So you see, you don't need to do tshuva. And a second ago we said the Sifra says you have to do tshuva. We have a contradiction in the Sifra. This is exactly what we're talking about. His machlokes is a Talmud and his Rebbe. Rebbe holds you don't have to do tshuva. Rebbe Yehuda says you do have to do tshuva. Rava Omar, Hava Rebbe. It's completely Rebbe. The Rebbe because the Yoma. This is problematic. We're trying to talk about it. If Rebbe Yehuda wrote the Sifra, so how's there somebody in there arguing with him, and how is his Talmud completely taking him out? Okay. But Rebbe says, Rabbi said, listen to this. Yom Kippur is mechaper on everything. You spoke Lashon Hara, you did kol mini averos chamuros, it's mechaper. But don't sit there on Yom Kippur itself and be mevayish Yom Kippur by eating on Yom Kippur. That won't be mechaper. Toiv of Sharetz biyadi, mamish. You're gonna make fun of Yom Kippur itself. You know that you're supposed to fast, and you're not fasting. You want a kapara on it? No way. Well, by the Rebbe, because the yoma, the cars that you get for that day itself, that not. He says a beautiful raya, cars the Yom Kippurim l'Rebbe, Leslie. It says in the pasuk, look at this, and if you don't fast, v'nichrasa. But Yom Kippur is mechaper you. Where's the chorus? Yom Kippur is mechaper. No, besides that. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Let's think about it for a second. Rabbi Isai, how is it possible that Yom Kippur is mechaper? Yes, it's mechaper even not fasting. But this person messed up and he gets cars for not fasting. Yom Kippur is mechaper for fasting, for not fasting. But I could give you 3 cases where Yom Kippur won't be mechaper. How? No. What?
Chokes while he's eating.
He dies while he's eating. Nighttime. He ate a moment before the end of Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur. Okay, so there are ways, and that's what the Gemara is going to say. Alam alai, what? I have cases that a person could, even though Yom Kippur is mechaper for everything, the worst of the worst, even not fasting Yom Kippur, it's mechaper. So here's where the Gemara says if a person ate at night, well, that's not what you said. I said something else. Okay, sorry, you meant this probably. If a person eats at night of Yom Kippur, we said Yom Kippur is not mechaper at night, Meir. It only kicks in the morning and at the nights. So if a person did not fast, he ate. He came home after shul and he had a whole dinner, and then he died in his sleep, then he won't have a kapara because the kapara only works the next morning. So the Gemara says, here's the problem. Let's go back to that pasuk. Just I added a little red here. The same pasuk. It says, "Be'etzem hayoim v'nichrasa," that this kares in the daytime. You just told me the only way to get kares is if he dies at night. But if he dies during the day, the Yom Kippur is mechaper. Whoa! It says there's a case of dying be'etzem hayoim v'nichrasa. So Gemara says, yeah, there is a case. Alam aloi mishkach l'dochal umtzo v'chanke yumis. Like, I have a neighbor, Nebuch, he went with his father, Am Purim, to the restaurant, and his father ate meat and died in the restaurant. He choked on a piece of meat. So, what? Yeah. So, it's possible that a person, Yom Kippur, as he's eating and he's being over the Isser, he dies while he's eating. So he never had a chance, he didn't pause to have Yom Kippur be mechaperim. There's no pause. He died within Yom Kippur. Or he ate at the very last moment of Yom Kippur. There's no chance for the Yom Kippur to work. Do they have a shows? Look at Baruch. So the Gemara says, if a person ate at night of Yom Kippur, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis is sponsored by Innovations in honor of our sons Kalmo and Yisrael for learning Sanhedrin, Makis, and Shevuos with Rebelli. 3 Masechtas. It just adds up. If you get through Shevuos, Zara is going to go really easy. It starts off, I got the first daf. Other Adar Global, experts in international financial services. Anonymous, in honor of the tzaddik whose name we cannot say, who shows us what it means to be a giver and a tzaddik. Echad Yisrael, the Echad Kayad, I'm joking, every time I'm going to say it, subconsciously I'm going to think about the Sephardi guy. Echad Yisrael, the Echad Kayad, the Echad Kayad Meshuach. Hagov Akashya. Look, the Mishnah says that there's no difference between a Yisrael and a Kohen. They all get a kapara through the Sar Lazazel, and then a second later it says, Kotari Echad Yisrael v'Echad Kohanim v'Echad Kohen Meshuach. Yeah, I'll go v'Kasha. I said that, I think. Kotari Echad Yisrael v'Echad Kohanim v'Echad Kohen Meshuach. V'Hadatani ma ben Yisrael l'Kohanim. You say they're exactly the same, and all of a sudden it says, what's the difference between ben Yisrael l'Kohanim and l'Kohen Meshuach? What's the difference between them and a Kohen Meshuach? So, Rabbi said, I almost missed the best part of the whole shir. I love this thing. The oilum's on the floor. Check this guy out. He's a real. And then once Yom Kippur, he's back at it. Okay, I don't know. It's supposed to be a little darker in the background over there, but the idea is like maybe at the Hafsaka, at that. Yeah, exactly. Over Rav Yehuda. So it's very simple. In all the averes of the Torah besides Tumah, everybody gets kapara, even a kohen. There's no difference between a Yisrael and a kohen. But where do you see a distinction between a Yisrael and a kohen? When it comes to Tumah, everything we spoke about for the last 12 daf, Tumas Mikdash Kedoshim, going to the Mikdash when you're tummy, eating kosher when you're tummy, that a kohen gets a kapara from something else completely, from the bull, not from the Sar Lazos. Umani, Rabbi Yehudi, and that goes according to Rabbi Yehudi. So when you see Machloikis, again, the par, Shalom Aleichem Tzaddik, how you doing? The bull, according to everybody, gives a kapara to a kohen for Tumas Mikdash V'Kedashim. The machlokes is, what about the Sar Lazazel? That goat that we throw off the cliff, does it also work for a kohen for all the averes, or only for Yisrael for all the averes? So we have one machlokes here. The Sar Lazazel, what does it accomplish? Does it accomplish for the kohen or only for the Yisrael? Check this out, it's beautiful, very simple, gibaldik. The whole pasuk comes to light over here. It says in the pasuk, "V'chiper Mikdash HaKodesh" is referring to Kodesh HaKodashim. If the Kohen Gadol walked into the Kodesh HaKodashim, became tamei, as he walked into the Kodesh HaKodashim, he's doing CPR and a guy that fainted right next to him, and the guy ended up dying, and then he walked into the Kodesh HaKodashim, it's mechaper. V'soil Moed is referring to the Heichal. V'esam Mizbech, what kind of Mizbech are we talking about? The Mizbech Hazav, Mizbech HaKtoiris, the small one. That if you go, you perform the avodah b'tumah over there, you get a kapara. Yichaper means anything in the azara. What does al kohanim mean, Rabbi Isai? For kohanim. What does that val kol ha'am? Yisraelim. And yichaper, what's missing? Levim. Okay, so that's the pasuk. Here we go. The sign of Mikdash HaKodesh Zelef Naivu Lifnim Kodesh HaKadoshim. Ezrael Moed Zeheichel Mizbeach Imashmoi the Mizbeach HaKtoris. Yichaber LaZara is if you have Tum in the Azara. Kohanim the Kohanim get kapara Kimashmon. Amakahal Yisrael get kapara. Yichaber Elavim. Hushvu Kulon the kapara Achas. So Rashi points out over here. Should show you the Rashi inside. So Rashi makes a little bit of cheshbon. It cannot be that this pasuk, a Kohen and Yisrael are identical. But it can't be that they're identical in Tumas Mikdash Kedashim. Because in Tumas Mikdash Kedashim we already established. How does a kohen get a kapara for all Tumah? All Tumah from the bull. How does Yisrael get a kapara for all Tumah? There's a par chitza and par pnimi, but not the bull. So the Sar, did I say par? The Sar chitza and the Sar pnimi. So how can you be mashva? How can you say that they're equal? It must be that they're equal for all other averas. For Lashon Hara and Gezel and Arayis and everything else. That is what the pasuk is saying over here. That the Azazel, when you throw him off the cliff, even a kohen gets a kapara. That's that shita. So who's mechulek on that? Duvie Rabbi Yehuda. Reb Shimon Oimer, no. The par is mechaper for everything. Once it's mechaper for the tumah for the kohen, it's mechaper for all the daffers for the kohen. The soil azazel doesn't work for the kohen, only for the Yisrael. Just like the blood of the goat, the inner one, is mechaper for Yisrael and not for the kohen. The kohen gets his own kapara from the bull. We know that when they throw the goat off the cliff, you say a vidui, and that gives a kapara to all Yisrael for all their averos. So he argues that the sorry lazos you throw off the cliff does not work for the kohen. But hey, we just did this pasuk. Check it out. It says in the pasuk, Kohanim, Yisraelim, Leviim. There's some sort of connection between a Yisrael and a kohen. Yeah, you're right. There is a connection. I'm telling you, everybody gets a kapara, even a Yisrael, even a kohen. Yeah, but everyone gets a different carbon. The kohen uses the bull, and the Yisrael uses the sar. My time the Reb Shimon. Why does Reb Shimon hold that Zazel does not help a kohen? The kohen gadol takes the two goats. So we have a connection between the one that flies off a cliff and the one you bring inside to the Kodesh HaKadosh. We already established that only Yisrael gets a kapara through the pnim and the chitzon, but a kohen does not get a kapara for the tumah. He gets his kapara from what? From the bull. It only works for the nation, but not for the kohen. So that's how he learns. There's a connection between the goats on Yom Kippur, and that only works for the Yisrael, so it doesn't work for the kohanim. No, says review the beautiful thing. There's a hekesh for something else. You shavim b'maro b'koimo b'domim mudasa. It's like similar to the what is it called? The 13-year-old, the Ben Sarah Meira. Here, you cannot bring two goats that don't look alike. They're not the same color, and they're not the same height. They have to be the same height, and the same color, and the same value. They have to be something like this. Now you have a good pair. The same color, same height. That's great. But this, says Rabbi Yehuda, that's why we have a hekesh to say that on his chest. You know why?
It's an enhancement.
Oh, the black. Yesterday on the white one, it said somebody else's shear, and I had to take it. I told him to take it out. Oh, so who's this Tana? So here, just simple Gemara here. We're just going to do another 10 lines here. It says that the Kohen Gadol takes this chatos, this goat, which is for the nation, which means not for him. She'ein ha-koyanim iskaprim boy. Koyanim don't get a kapar from it. Ubemem iskaprim. So where is the kapar b'par shel Aaron? They get it from the bull. Yochel iskaprim b'par shel Aaron. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe a kohen shouldn't get a kapar there. Sharik farnemar shaloi. It's only for the Kohen Gadol, not for the koyanim. Kapara, what? So they don't get any kapara at all. It says kohanim, all kohanim, but moim is kaprim. Now you have an option. It says in the Torah that a kohen gets a kapara, but now where? From what? From the bull or from the sar la'azazel like all Klal Yisrael? Says the Gemara makes more sense from the bull. Why? You see that the Torah changes. The what? Here, look, it says in the pasuk, "V'chiper badai." You should take a kapar for himself. And a second later it says, "Ubad beisa," and his whole family. Oh, so you're already doing a yotzim and a klal. So keep on going. Say the power works for the kohanim. The goat that goes in the Kodesh HaKadoshim only works for Yisrael and no one from his own family. This pasuk says that it works for his family. Just keep it with his family. Keep it for all the kohanim. 2 more lines, and if you're going to say that's not true, I have a raya from the pasuk. So if we pause here, what does it mean, Beis Aaron? It means all the kohanim, not just Aaron. Don't say that Aaron is on his own. It's Beis Aaron. All the kohanim are in this thing. All the kohanim get a kapara from the par. What are you showing me? Rabbi said, check this out. Who put this in? Torah Magnum Matzla. Who, you did it? Gershon, who sent this in? Kobe. This were the sirens. And we saw Rabbi Rosner, his phone was going off like Meshuggah. Why? Because the whole area is Yisrael. And look where Bet Shemesh is, right over here. And look at that. Last night there were sirens also while we were learning and didn't hit here. Be'ezer Hashem, the Torah is Magnum Matzah, it's not a joke. All over, we're all next to us, and we stopped on the border. Okay? Givaldik. Hold on. Levi Baruch Hashem, Yirei Hashem Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Sai. Have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.